Okay, I want to look at the issue of knees in Tai Chi. This could be a real problem for people. If your knees aren't aligned properly, you could end up hurting your knees, and then you won't be able to do Tai Chi or a whole lot of other things without pain. So this is an important issue, regardless if you're a beginner or intermediate, you've been doing it for decades. You want to keep coming back to this stability of the knees. So one thing to think about is the fact that when you have weight in a leg, the knee needs to be completely tracking the toes of that foot. So by that I mean I've weighted in this leg and the knee is going right out over the toes, as opposed to weight in this leg and the knee falling in a little bit. This will cause problems. I want the energy, the weight to go straight down through the body, through the joint, and if it's here, I'm going to have one line of force going this way and another line of force going that way, and it's going to take the brunt of the pain in the knee. So I want the force to go straight down through the joints and into the ground. When we talk about a problem place in Tai Chi, we're told to go to the joint above and below to solve the problem. That a knee problem isn't addressed at the knee, it's addressed above and below. So let's look at below first. The foot, you want to have a good connection through the ground, and there's a tripod, we call it, of 3 weight-bearing bones in the bottom of your foot. As you stand here, just kind of feel those. Release your knees a little bit so that the weight drops into the ground, and feel that there are 3 bones that are intended to hold your weight. The heel, the ball behind the big toe, and the ball behind the little toe. Those 3 will create a place that triangulates on what we call the bubbling well, which is that place, it's like the heart of your palm, only in your foot. It's up where the arches meet. It's the apex of the arch. It does not smash to the ground. Think of it as a suction cup. So if a suction cup, if you make the very center of the cup touch what you're trying to suction it to, you won't have suction. That very center has to be a little bit off the surface. That's how you want your feet to work as well. When your knee is in the correct alignment, it will have the foot also in the correct alignment. When I lose one of the ends of the tripod, so here I just lost the ball behind the little toe, now my knee has fallen in. To solve the problem, if I just change the way I'm relating to the ground, it changes where my knee is. So that's the bottom of the foot. The other end is the hip joint. So your hip joint is in here. It's in close. I'm not talking about this part of your hip. I'm talking about this part right in here where your leg connects to your pelvis. You can find it on yourself. It's where the moving part is. You want to make sure that the hip is following this same alignment. If my hip rotates out, look what happens to my knee. My knee falls in. So the hip and the foot are the 2 ends that get your knee into a proper alignment. So let's look at a couple of postures that put your knees, put some real requirements on keeping this relationship. So the first one I want to look at is going from ward off to press, ward off right to press. So front leg that the weight is in. When I turn the waist, it doesn't disturb this knee. So if this happens, I can tell that my foot has now rolled to the outer edge, and that's destabilizing my base at my foot, and also the hip is getting thrust. So if I keep the hip in place and I feel all 3 points of the tripod in more or less equal contact, I can turn in the hip joint where the motion needs to happen, and that will keep my knee stable. So we come through here. Now it's time to get onto the rear leg. The rear leg now is the weighted one. I don't have to worry so much about this front knee because the weight isn't in it. This is 100% on my back leg. The front leg is not weighted. But I don't want to, when I turn on this leg, I don't want it to drag this side of me with it. So even though there's no weight here, I want to still feel the tripod. Same thing here. Now this is the leg that has to stay stable, and the knee is aligned over the toe. It can go past the toe, but it doesn't want to diverge from the toes. So when I sit here and turn, I'm turning in the hip joint, keeping the hip, the outer edge of the hip in place, and the bottom of the foot in place. So when we take the move in total, we've got this kind of a shape. When I come into the front leg, now my rear knee will move. This is not something where I'm trying to keep knees over toes all the time. It's just the one that has the weight on it. So I turn this way, releasing this side so that the foot stays connected to the ground. I don't want to lose the back foot, but making sure that all this is stable. Then sitting into the back leg, now this is the one I want to keep aligned. This knee is not, I'm not trying to hold it out over my foot anymore because that's not the right shape, but I want to feel the 3 points at the bottom of the foot. And as I turn, I'm leaving this leg behind. I'm turning away from it, letting this open so that I can turn here without just pulling this whole side with me. So it opens out. This is the leg that I have to keep my knee in alignment with. And then as I shift, once my front leg is ready to take over, this knee will change again because it's no longer the weighted leg. Let's look at it in going from single whip to lifting hands. Actually, I'll do it this way so you can watch this knee. When you turn and shift, this knee needs to stay out here with the foot. So these feet are at 90 degrees. It's really important that you release here and let your body move away from the knee rather than taking the knee with it as you shift. So see what happened here. Again, I can tell what I'm doing wrong because I feel it at the bottom of my foot. So make sure when you do a move like this that you keep your connection through the bottom of the weighted leg, and don't try to put yourself anywhere that you can't keep that feeling. There's no reason for me to go like this and lose that connection on my weighted foot. So let the knees be the limiters for how far you turn. And then little by little, it's like the Tin Man and the oil can. It'll start to open up more and you'll get more motion, but only if you leave your knee with the foot and let it stay in a connected, open relationship, and then just be wherever you need to be to maintain this feeling. This is far more important than where your dantian ends up facing. The last move I want to draw to your attention and take a look at is squatting single whip. So, from single whip, at this moment here, when you shift into your right leg and get ready to redirect to the corner, make sure that you're on the bottom of your foot evenly and the hip is not getting thrown out. You might feel like oh, I'm going to get a little bit lower. If I send this out here, see how much lower I get? But I'm all distorted. That's not what you want. Low comes because everything is working right, not because you give up your shape to make some external place that you think you need to go to. So, when you turn here, number one, make sure this foot is pointing exactly straight ahead. It's easy for it to get a little bit off, and now I've got a bigger problem because my knee's going to want to fall in. So make sure it's pointing directly to the wall. And then let your hip stay in orientation with the leg. Only go as far as you can go, keeping this alignment. I don't want to go out of alignment. So just come through here. The knee will go past the toe, but it will do it in the same alignment. It won't go at a different angle. So from here, now this is really important. Keep your connection on this leg so that when you turn here, you're turning away from this leg. You're leaving it behind. And then once you're ready to put the weight into this leg, this one can free up and come around. But make sure that when you do this initial piece here and turn away from the leg, that your leg doesn't come with you, but that you keep this connection and turn, maintaining the knee out here over the toe. If you work this way, it will strengthen your legs, it will strengthen the muscles alongside your knees, and it will alleviate any knee pain that you have. Actually, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and that is in transition, like when you're taking a great big step. So a move like this, don't wait until you get to the final posture to try and solve it. Make sure that if you're having knee pain, chances are it's happening in a transition. So pay careful attention in your transitions that you don't pull on the knee, and that should solve any knee problems you're having.